And thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful, I guess many of you are freezing to death. In Florida, it's raining cats and dogs. So we must be having screwy weather all over the country. But it's gorgeous in Barbados. And so we're very, very happy to present this wonderful product, Cobblers Cove, which is truly the quintessential British colonial resort in the Caribbean on the Platinum Coast of Barbados. Uh, Literally small, intimate, beautiful property. Joanna, the general manager of the hotel, who started recently with us, probably sometime in October, will be joining us as soon as possible. She seems to be having some connection issues, but I wanted to give you my own personal welcome and to share a few things with you. Uh, we've really seen a wonderful change in the last couple of weeks with bookings, with interest, with many of our clients seeing revenue finally coming back in, not only in the Caribbean, of course, it's true in Barbados and in Harbor Island and in St. Bart's, uh, but also we've taken wonderful bookings in Turkey, Machakizi, which is our property there that's open and was open all of last year for Americans. And we've actually taken mid summer and fall bookings at our properties in Europe, Spain, Switzerland, the Lac, and at the Beau Rivage Palace. Machakizi, we just mentioned, Belle Rives in Cap d'Antibes on the coast on the French Riviera, the Negresco, uh, and lots of other great places. So it's lovely to report that, and I know that many of you are experiencing the same. And we invite you to contact us to let us know anything that you need, any information that you'd like. We have some very, very exciting openings coming up, two gigantic ones, uh, one of which is probably the most, how would I say, the most anticipated opening in a long time, which is Le Grand Contrôle, the Erels Group, which will open officially for reservations as of June 1st. And it will be the only property, a 12-room magnificent resort within the walls of the Chateau de Versailles, allowing access to your guests to the chateau pre-opening and post-opening, plus all sorts of other things. That is, as I said, we'll be doing some soft stuff in May, but in March we will be launching in March we'll be launching all of the information, and the reservations will go live on June 1st. And the other opening, which is outside of Paris, which is particularly sweet for Americans, is the fact that the Domaine de Fontenille group has renovated completely the formal chateau of the great French actress Catherine Deneuve, called Primard, and it is opening on May 13th in Giverny, which gives your people that are coming to Paris a beautiful place to stop at Giverny and watch the Monet water lilies and all of that wonderful stuff there, and then continue on forward to the Normandy landing beaches at the Chateau d'Audrieux, and of course Mont Saint-Michel. But I'm delighted to see that Joanna has joined us. Welcome, my dear. Thank you so much for your time and that beautiful Bayesian smile. I've said hello to everyone. We have quite a lovely team of people on the call. So without further ado, I'll let you go for it, Joanna, and unfortunately need to get off the call because I have something, I have a very old mother and I have to do something with her, so I do apologize.
No.
But everything is fine. There's nothing to worry about, thankfully. But I do need to get off, and Joanna and Joyce and Beth will continue with this incredibly beautiful property in the lovely island of Barbados, and our great fearless leader, Joanna, who will walk you through. Thanks, everybody, so much. Joanna, I'll call you later so that we can talk about, because I will say, as a secret, that we are planning a fam trip soon. to Cobblers Cove. So Joanna and I will talk about that a little bit later and finalize some dates and what we're going to planning on doing and all of this. So welcome again. Thank you for your time and for your consideration. With no further ado, I leave you in the most beautiful hands of Joanna, our general manager at Cobblers Cove, and of course, Joyce and Beth on my team. Thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you, Mario.
Hi,
Thank you,
Joanna.
everyone, and thank you and welcome. Sorry for the late joining of the meeting, some technical issues, but it's great to be here. Great to have you all on board this afternoon, and it's certainly a pleasure for me to have this fantastic opportunity to speak about this lovely property in Barbados.
So I'm going to go ahead and share Joanna's presentation. Okay, everybody can see that?
Okay,
Joanna.
So Cobblers Cove, for most of you that probably are very familiar with the property, and for those who are not, Cobblers sits on the Platinum Coast, west coast of Barbados, which puts us in Speightstown, St. Peter, which is about 18 miles from the airport. So a very easy drive from the airport, about 15 minutes from here into Old Town, which is our next town from Speightstown. It's a very popular town, so where lots of people tend to want to just go and have a little walk around. Cobblers Cove sits on 1/4 mile of white sand beach on the west coast, around the lush tropical gardens of the property, which is spreads across 3 acres. And right in the center of this property, we've got the Great House. And the Great House is directly facing the ocean front. And there's a lot of history here dated back to 1960, well, the 1940s really, but was only then taken over by the Godson family in 1968, which after that was renamed the Cobblers Cove after the frigate birds that would frequent the area. So Cobblers has got a lot of history and it continues to still keep that very old charm feel on the property. Despite we have updated quite a few bits to still give it and maintain a very luxurious feel. It's a well-established luxury boutique hotel and has gained a reputation for exquisite food and wines and hosting a lot of celebrities and long-standing repeats over the past 50 plus years. As I said, it's set over 1/4 mile of white sand beach, and it's beautiful. So if you're at the Great House looking over to the north or the south, you are overlooking the beautiful Caribbean Ocean, which is generally very calm, as you can see in the photos, and that's typical of the West Coast and typical of our little cove here at the Cobblers Cove Hotel.
Joanna, I'm sorry to interrupt, my dear. Can you get a little bit closer to the mic because they're hearing an echo?
Okay, sure. Okay, you can let me know if that's a little bit better for you.
Jess, if you can let me know if that sounds a little bit better. Continue, Joanna, continue. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So we've got Sam and Hugh over on the screen on the left, and they're the owners of the Cobblers Cove. And as I said, they're very, just to the right, you've got all the look of all the tropical gardens, the beautiful gardens that surround the property. But Sam and Hugh are very hands-on in the operations and the running of Cobblers Cove. Lots of passion, actually from the entire family, even the kids. So so there's a lot of dedication that comes with running this property, from the top level. So from the owners, of course, the general manager, myself, and my team. And this is what makes Cobblers so very special. So we've got 42 suites in total on property. We have the We've got the 40 suites that basically sits on 10 two-story cottages around the property. Then we've got the Great House, which you saw earlier. And the Great House right here, this is the drawing room of the Great House. And this is generally where our guests would sit and relax and unwind, perhaps have afternoon tea around the Great House, whether it's on the patio, the north patio, or sitting on the ocean front to enjoy the scenery. So we serve afternoon tea every day. And in the Great House, if you just want to relax and chill, that's the place to be. So a lot of, you would see from all the designs and the little tasteful finishes around the property has been heavily influenced by Sam the Terrain. And Sam is, as I said, one of the owners of Cobblers. And there's, as I said, a lot of passion that has gone in to making sure that everything works, that everything blends and everything complement each other without trying to make the property a very modern property. And this is all, very old style and deliberately so. So these are typical of our suites in terms of our fine linens and stuff. We've got the sewn design, which is a heavy influence in terms of all of our finishes around the property, our fabrics and in the room and as well as in the drawing room, and generally just spread right across. And you will get that consistent feel in any and all of the suites. So these would be, and you would have seen the four-posted bed in the Colleton and the Camelot suite. And those are, pretty much set in the Great House as our two main master suites of the hotel. And then this is typical, the look of one of our other rooms. So the ocean front, the garden suite, the ocean view suites. All of our rooms are very consistent in terms of the fine quality and linens that you would find, as well as all the furniture and the fittings, the lovely spacious patios as well across, and that is just very consistent. So all of our rooms are generously sized. You can feel free to enjoy, to relax on your patio, nice and open to our tropical gardens or to the oceanfront setting. And so you can have your meals on these patios. You can, work from your suite. So for those who want to work from home, this is exactly the place to be for that. And as I said, it is just that very consistent feel throughout the property. So you wouldn't really find, any suite that is not laid out to our standard or very different from the other suites. And that's something that we are very much committed to in terms of keeping that consistency throughout the hotel. So we've got the 20 garden suites, which are overlooking the gardens. We've got 8 ocean view suites. We have the ocean views as well. So 8 ocean view suites, two bedroom suites. We have 8 oceanfront suites and 1 Camelot suite and 1 Colleton suite. And the Camelot suite and the Colleton suite are situated in the Great House of the property. And with the Colleton suite, I have to say, this one comes with your own private plunge pool. And this is beautiful. It really, the 2 suites in the Great House are just, you just don't see anything like it. They've got the 4 posted beds. And, as I said, all the rooms, because they're so consistent, you've got the Egyptian cotton bed linens, the goose down pillows, and just a very perfect blend of colonial elegance and Caribbean comfort and style. So, and this is just a feel that you would find right across the hotel with marble finishes and showers. The rooms are all air conditioned with ceiling fans in the bedroom, in the living area, in the bedroom. You also have a lot of, elegant private living space, including those balconies that I mentioned and patios and terraces that we have. And, you know, and this is all complemented by our fine toiletries in our rooms. We are also very committed to our environment. So generally, we, you know, in terms of our food, which are all most majority, we boast that is locally sourced. And this is from an organic point of view, and is, you know, giving back to our environment. So all of our toiletries are locally sourced. And, you know, we do get quite a number of compliments with that because of the high quality and standard that we were able to maintain with our local products. We've got our Lazy Bones gazebo and looking over some lovely shots of our deck from our restaurant. So this is all on the open front terrace of the great house. This is where we serve our meals. So you can have your breakfast, lunch, or dinner here. You can also do so in your suite, in your lovely extended patio space and dining area of the room. And this is here, you know, while you are here sitting, enjoying your lunch or your breakfast or any of your meals or cocktails even, you are overlooking the Caribbean Sea, as I said, which is consistently just very soothing, very calm. We've got our water sports, which is also set up on the very ocean front. So, you know, you can take a day out on the boat with Bradley or one of his team members and, you know, take a sail, go for a half hour swimming and snorkeling with the turtles. There's just so much to do. You can, you know, lots of water sports activities, which are also included in the room rate. So you've got the kayaking, sunfish sailings, fishing. You can do paddle boarding. You know, so there are lots of things to do. You can be as busy or as laid back as you like. There's always something. There's always something. You know, to suit everyone's needs. We also have our garden tours, and you know, so those are also other activities. We've got the tennis court. We have a gym for those that may feel somewhat guilty of just doing nothing. Um, we have our spa on property as well, so you can also, you know, indulge. And yeah, there's lots of things to do while you're here on property. This is the Lazy Bones gazebo. And the Lazy Bones gazebo, you know, if you want to have an exquisite event, if you just want to have a dinner for two, a very special evening or occasion, we can lay this out nicely for you, that you can have a nice private experience. You can also have if you're going to have a little small wedding, perhaps with a small party, this is also possible here. And basically, we will just make it to suit whatever the occasion.
So Joanna, let's see if we have any questions. Let me look in the chat here. Hold on.
Evelyn does have one about the maximum occupancy in the cottages.
Okay.
So in the suites, we have up to a maximum of three persons in our suites, but not in the Camelot and the Colleton suite. We limit those to 2 persons only.
Okay, any other questions? No, I think that, oh, wait. Do guests typically stay on property for all dining?
We have, for dining experience, we have a lot of guests generally stay on property for dining. We tend to have a mix of menus, so it never gets dull or boring. Every night there's a different menu to choose from. So there's always something that is exciting enough to keep our guests to stay at home. And I think with the number of repeat guests that we typically would get at Cobblers, they have already established that this is just the place to be. This is the place to stay for dining and just relax in the evening. So generally, yes, most of our guests do stay in for dinner.
And you can do full board?
You can do full board, yes. You can do all-inclusive plan as well if you want to do that.
Okay, great. How far again are you from Bridgetown?
From Bridgetown, we are about I would say about 20 minutes, give and take a little bit of if there's any traffic on the street, but Generally about 25 minutes maximum.
How do you handle the pre-testing for return to the US?
Pre-testing for the return, because it's a rapid test system for the US, that's quite easy. You can literally have that done and have it back in your hand within an hour, hour and a half. You can have your result back in hand.
And you can arrange for someone to come do it on property, correct?
And at the moment, we are working on having that set up at the hotel. So we do have, there is a facility which is not very far from property at the moment, which is where the government is currently hosting that process. But generally, we have all of our testing done here at the hotel.
Do you know what the cost for the test is?
The cost for the test is now with the government is $50 per person.
Let's see what else. Airport transfers. Can you do private airport transfers, and what approximately is the cost of that?
Yes, we do offer private airport transfers, and that is 75 US, and that would be for a couple or 3 persons maximum.
Okay. Joyce, I think I got all the questions. Do you see anything else? Anyone else have questions?
How many suites are in a cottage? Are there connecting options available? How many 2-bedroom suites are there?
So we have 2 2-bedroom suites in the hotel, and in any one cottage block, we've got 4 suites.
Okay. All right. So here we go. What about the 5-day quarantine upon arrival in Barbados? How are you handling that?
So for the 5-day quarantine, we have had very little issues concerning quarantine at Cobblers. Most of our guests, but this has only been recently changed, and we do expect that that will change again once everything settles in general, because I think the US and the UK, our main markets, are pretty much, I think, ramping up on the test, on the, having the vaccine rolled out. So I suspect, and also Barbados, I have to say that we have started our vaccination program. So I believe that those restrictions will start to change very soon. But typically, if someone comes to Barbados now, or and the quarantine 5 days, which you have to stay in the room, but at the hotel, we've got, as I said, we've got those lovely terraces that most of our guests still enjoy. They do sit outside and still able to get some sun, and we bring the service to the guests. So despite they're in the room or limited to the room area, we generally still take the service to them. So we would still make sure and serve all the little amenities that we generally serve to our guests while they're around the pool. They've got the meals are served on the terraces, so they can literally still very much enjoy. And we are very blessed with all of our tropical gardens and the oceanfront facing suites that can still enjoy the lovely views. So our guests are they feel pretty much like it's so worth it to still be here.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any restrictions on capacity? I assume during this time of COVID, are you restricting capacity on the rooms or the hotel?
Right. So we are not restricted to capacity at the moment, because our property is so laid out, and because we are not in a 1-block system where all of our guests are being channeled through one particular space. We've got enough space that our guests, we can run full occupancy if we need to without a challenge.
Okay.
So that's not a problem for us.
And just to clarify, does it mean that during the 5-day quarantine, one cannot go to the hotel beach? And that is correct, right?
Yes, yes. During the 5-day quarantine, at the moment, you are limited to utilizing those facilities until you have had that second test, the second PCR once you are here.
But as you said, things are changing constantly. I mean, before it was more than a 5-day quarantine, and that
is changing. It is changing so quickly, and so I think all of the restrictions that are there now will soon be a thing of the past. So but we just have to get through this process for the moment.
Barbados has a great tourism has a great site that they're constantly updating. So I can share that link with everyone
Yeah.
for most up to date. Let's see. Okay, so
You want me to include it in the chat right now, Beth?
sure, that'd be great. Or I can follow up with everyone
Okay.
in an email too. Which type of vehicles are you using for the transfers? And do you work with private guides to visit the island?
Yes, so we have our private drivers. So all of our drivers, first of all, are certified COVID COVID drivers. So they have all gone through a process of training with the national government and officials here and the health ministers to make sure that they understand the protocols and that they can take whatever corrective action they need to take while transporting any of our guests, making them equally safe as the driver himself. So our drivers generally are those are the persons that we use to do our tours around the hotel, around the country, and so this is really not it's not a challenge. It's not a challenge for us, to be honest. It's quite straightforward.
And then I think I know the answer to this question, but do you still have to quarantine if the clients are vaccinated?
At the moment, they haven't changed that as yet. So yes, until the restrictions have been changed, then that's what the current situation is.
And then how are you prepared to deal with guests that test positive before departing back to US?
Right. So if a guest is tested positive, generally this is handled by the Ministry of Health, and they would normally advise the client, advise myself, and once that person is, they have to do a full medical check. So then someone from the Ministry of Health would conduct that check, and then they can ascertain does that person needs, with the condition. Some people are asymptomatic, so there are no symptoms and they're absolutely fine and just needs to be isolated. And so it depends on the health condition of the individual, if they need to have medical attention.
Okay. And that's all the questions I see. Unless somebody has any more, go ahead and type it in. I'll give it just a couple minutes. I think that might be it.
So in the meantime, I just want to take advantage because I just found this. Let me see if I share my screen very quickly. Here we go. Oh, I think we have a question.
Oh, all right. Let me see if I can. You do that and I'll see. Okay.
This was my trip when I went to visit the property. And it was beautiful and magnificent. And I wanted to share it with all of you guys. They have their own rum. So they have the Cobblers Cove rum. This was a beautiful full moon the night that we were there. Do you guys see where I have the cursor?
Yeah, we see it. We see.
This is when we got here, and that was the most beautiful shot of the beach because everything was so natural and tranquil and beautiful. This just because I love my little flowers, but this is the view from the property. This is our little boat ride. And this was the most exciting part.
Oh, there's Angela.
There's Angela, and she was fearless. She jumped into that water without even thinking about it, and the turtles came within like 2 or 3 seconds. It was so very cool. Don't share with Angela that I shared this with you guys.
But wait, before you, just as a follow-up to the question about somebody testing positive, would they need to relocate to another property, or is isolating at Cobblers Cove an option? And if positive, would the hotel offer a discount?
We have, despite COVID, we are still in the business of serving people. And so we have had, we've had 1 or 2 situations, not necessarily someone having a positive result, but for different reasons, or we have had to use our discretion on a situation. And certainly, if this is the case, then I think that we are more than open to work with our client and to make sure they don't have to, we've had guests who've had a fake positive where they would have had to go to be isolated because they had to do further checks, and we generally take care of our guests. So they were very well impressed with our service from the hotel to the facility where they were. So we were still sending them some nice meals and making sure they had all the nice quality linens and room amenities. And so, something that I think is definitely needed at this time with all the uncertainty and everything that is happening. You still have to keep the human element to this. And I know because of the changes with COVID, it has taken away in many ways that the whole spirit of hospitality of how we are supposed to do things, so whatever opportunity we get where we can still put back in that one-on-one human contact and where we can empathize and do whatever we have to do for our guests, I think we've built so many more relationships as a result, of how we've had to handle things. And so it's been, there's been a lot of positives coming out of it. So yes, the answer is yes, that we are very much open. We wouldn't leave our guests stranded, if this happened, someone came and budgeted for 5 nights and found that they've got a problem, they can't go back for another night, or we are very much open to working with our clients. So this is not an issue.
Okay, anyone else? I think that's it. If you think of something else, you can always email Joyce and me, and we will get in touch with Joanna, and we will get any and all questions answered. Okay, one more question. Do you test on a daily basis your employees?
We do checks every morning with the staff coming in, everyone coming to property, staff, or if someone is visiting the hotel for whatever reason. All of our guests are also checked. We do temperature checks daily for our guests, and we have a team that will take care of that as well.
And Evelyn has a piece of advice rather than question. Make sure your guest does not leave home without travel insurance.
Precisely.
Very good advice, Evelyn.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Please reach out if you have any questions, and we'll make sure Joanna gets them. And hopefully you'll have some people who want to visit soon.
Yes, absolutely. I love the background, Joyce.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. We're in Cobblers.
Where is that?
Which room is that?
Thank you all.
much,
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Joanna. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers. Bye.